take a second right now and just notice your physical body.
Yeah, just do a quick scan.
Exactly. Like, are you sitting, standing, walking? However you're positioned as you listen to this deep dive, just check in on your tension. Do you have like a slight ache in your lower back? Or maybe there's this familiar tightness creeping up the back of your neck.
Well, I bet a lot of people are nodding right now.
Right. I mean, we have completely normalized this low-level physical discomfort. And when we try to fix it, maybe by going to the gym or lifting weights or taking up a new sport, it so often feels like a grueling fight against our own physical limitations.
It really does. It's like a battle just to inhabit our own skin.
Yeah. Why is that?
Well, we tend to treat our bodies like these stubborn, deteriorating machines, you know?
Yeah.
Like they need to be forced into submission. We use brute force.
Like stretching, straining, lifting heavy things with sheer willpower.
Exactly. We try to use that willpower to correct decades of misalignment and chronic tension. And it's just exhausting.
But consider the possibility that the most efficient, powerful, and pain-free way to exist in your physical body has actually already been designed.
Right.
Not by some modern fitness guru, but by millions of years of relentless evolution.
It's a wild thought.
It is. The premise we are exploring today suggests that your body is literally a living museum of evolutionary movement, and that tapping into those ancient reflexes is the absolute key to physical harmony.
Yeah, and the framework we're looking at to understand this is called ISAI. That's the Israeli Science and Art of Integrity.
And this has been researched since, what, 1992?
Yep, since 1992.
Yeah.
And it essentially flips our entire understanding of human mechanics on its head. It's a rigorous blend of biomechanics theory and practice.
So it argues that returning to our evolutionary roots can completely change how we move, how we defend ourselves, and really just how we live.
Exactly. But to understand how ISAI reconstructs human movement, we first have to separate what we do every day from what we were actually built to do.
Right, the core code.
Yeah. The whole foundation of this framework rests on the distinction between what they call natural movement and pure natural movement.
Okay, let's break that down. Natural movement is just, what, everyday stuff?
Basically, yeah. In a general sense, natural movement refers to the innate patterns we use to solve physical problems in space. They call them locomotor activities.
Like walking across the room to get water?
Right, or running to catch a train, climbing a ladder, pushing open a heavy door.
Okay, those seem straightforward enough. But pure natural movement is described as something entirely different, right?
It is. It's framed as a theoretical construct. It's natural movement that is completely devoid of social and cultural influences.
Wow, devoid of all cultural influences.
Yeah, and that distinction is really the crux of the whole philosophy. Because, we are all deeply conditioned by the environments we navigate every single day.
Oh, absolutely.
From a very young age, we wear restrictive shoes with, elevated heels that shorten our calves.
Oh, yeah, and we sit in chairs for hours a day.
Exactly, which completely alters the tilt of your pelvis and forces your spine into this unnatural C shape.
Hunching over keyboards and phones, pulling our heads forward off our center of gravity.
You've got it. All of these cultural factors degrade our innate movement patterns. So pure natural movement is the untouched, uncorrupted essence of how the human animal is actually supposed to move through space.
But that has to be incredibly hard to achieve in modern society.
Oh, it's super difficult. But through dedicated practice, we can sort of strip away those cultural layers.
Let me try an analogy here. Let's see if this tracks. Is pure natural movement essentially the base operating system on a brand new computer?
Okay, yeah.
Like it's flawless, fast, incredibly efficient, and it doesn't drain the battery. But regular natural movement is what happens after society installs a bunch of clunky apps, strange formatting rules, and bad software updates.
That's a great way to put it.
And that bloatware just runs in the background constantly, dragging the whole system down.
That perfectly captures the mechanics of it, yeah. The underlying operating system was coded by evolution, so its efficiency is unmatched. But the cultural bloatware, the chronic stress, the unnatural postures, forces this system to burn excess energy just to keep you upright.
That makes so much sense.
And what makes ISAI's perspective so compelling is that it views this underlying operating system as a singular, interconnected ecosystem of movement.
An ecosystem.
Yeah, meaning all natural movements, regardless of what you're actually doing in the moment, share the exact same pure core.
So, meaning that if you are training in one natural movement, you are simultaneously upgrading the underlying code for all the other movements.
Exactly. The parameters might change, like whether you're moving through water, navigating uneven terrain, or trying to generate force for a martial arts strike.
Right. Those are different environments.
They are, but the biomechanical essence remains identical. Practicing ISAI martial arts, which involves striking and self-defense, inherently enhances your bodily mechanics for entirely different activities.
Like swimming or judo, or even just riding a bike.
That's so cool. We usually think of physical skills in isolated silos, Like if you want to be a better swimmer, you just swim. If you want to throw a better punch, you hit a heavy bag.
Right. But this ecosystem concept means our posture at a desk, our walking stride, and our athletic pursuits are all pulling from the same biomechanical well.
So for you listening right now, just think about what kind of cultural bloatware is currently degrading your movement ecosystem.
Yeah, what apps are running in the background.
Exactly. Because to remove that bad software, we have to look at who actually wrote the original code, which takes us straight into the evolutionary biology behind all of this.
And this is where it gets a little mind-bending.
Definitely.
If evolution is the programmer, our bodies essentially contain the entire version history.
The version history, wow.
Yeah. ISAI identifies a specific sequential chain of ancestors that literally manifest in every single human action.
Okay, let's go through the chain. It includes the amoeba, the fish, the amphibian, the reptile, the mammal, the higher mammal or ape, the human, and ultimately the future human.
I have to admit, when I first encountered this list in the source material, it sounded highly abstract, like a metaphor.
Oh, sure.
But the framework insists this is profoundly physical. It argues that when we move efficiently, our ribs, spine, head, shoulders, and pelvis are utilizing the exact same trajectories, forms, and dynamic synchronizations that evolved in those earlier life forms.
It is entirely physical.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think about the mechanics of walking.
Okay.
When you take a step, your right arm swings forward as your left leg moves forward, right?
Right.
And your spine slightly rotates. A counter rotation is the exact same biomechanical engine, the spinal undulation that a fish uses to propel itself through water.
Wait, really? A fish?
Yeah. Those ancient mechanical truths didn't disappear. They were just repurposed and deeply embedded into our anatomy.
Okay, hold on. Reaching across the desk for my coffee cup utilizes fish mechanics?
It does.
But if I just use my shoulder muscles to extend my arm and grab the mug, I get the coffee just fine. Why would my body want or need to involve my pelvis and spine just to grab something off a desk?
Well, because isolating the shoulder is highly inefficient, and it's prone to injury. The shoulder is a relatively small, unstable joint.
That's true. People injure their rotator cuffs all the time.
Exactly. When you just reach with your arm muscles, you are utilizing a clunky, human-made habit born from sitting statically at a desk all day.
The bloatware.
The bloatware. But when you utilize the biomechanical solutions pioneered by our evolutionary ancestors, the movement changes entirely.
So what does an efficient reach look like?
An efficient reach doesn't start in the shoulder. It starts with a subtle weight shift in your pelvis. That initiates a rotational wave up your spine.
Again, the fish mechanic.
Yes, the fish mechanic. And that seamlessly transfers kinetic energy out through your ribs into your shoulder and down your arm. The whole chain shares the load. You are using millions of years of evolutionary engineering rather than isolating a single, easily fatigued muscle group.
That reframes everything. It's about the underlying distribution of force, not like literally flopping around like a fist.
Right, no flopping required.
But when we look at this evolutionary ladder, there's a fascinating paradox regarding how we learn to move.
Oh, the lizard versus baby thing.
Yes. A newborn lizard hatches from an egg and can instantly scurry across a rock with perfect coordination.
Mm-hmm.
A puppy might take a few weeks to get its footing, but a human baby requires years to achieve proficient locomotion.
Yep, we are super clumsy.
So if our operating system is the most advanced, why does it take so long to boot up?
Well, that delay is actually the defining feature of our physical potential. The higher an organism sits on the evolutionary ladder, the thinner its inborn layer of movement becomes.
Thinner, meaning less hard-coded.
Precisely.
Mm-hmm.
A lizard is born with a hard drive that is already completely full of pre-programmed, rigid code. It can run instantly because it has no other choice.
It just executes the program.
Right. But because that code is rigid, a lizard will never learn to do a cartwheel, swing a golf club, or play the piano.
Got it. So our inborn layer is thin, meaning we have a massive amount of blank space on the hard drive.
Exactly. The clumsiness of human infants isn't a design flaw. It is the necessary trade-off for unparalleled dexterity.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Because our inborn layer of hard-coded movement is so thin, our potential for rich, versatile movement is virtually infinite. We can learn to ice skate or do gymnastics.
Right.
However, that exact same adaptability is why we are so susceptible to the bad cultural software we talked about earlier. We are so adaptable that we easily adapt to terrible, unnatural, gravity-fighting postures.
We adapt to the desk chair just as easily as we adapt to ice skates.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay, but if we have this massive blank space and we have an amoeba, a fish, and an ape all contributing to our biomechanics, how does the human body keep all of these ancestral echoes organized?
It sounds chaotic.
It sounds like a recipe for neurological chaos. But ISAI explains this organization through a concept called kinegenesis, and this relies heavily on the mathematics of fractals.
Right, fractals. So a fractal structure is a pattern where each part mathematically and structurally resembles the whole. We see this constantly in nature.
Like where?
Like the branching of a tree. It mimics the branching of a river delta, which mimics the branching of the veins in our circulatory system.
Everything echoes everything else.
Exactly. The macro and the micro share the identical geometric blueprint.
I always picture Romanesco broccoli.
Oh yeah, perfect example.
If you snap off one tiny floret and zoom in, it looks exactly like the entire head of broccoli. So applying that to human biomechanics, does a tiny movement, like a flick of the wrist, genuinely share the exact same mechanical blueprint as a massive full-body throw?
It genuinely does. Both the human body itself and natural movements operate fractally.
Wow.
A punch, a step, a pivot, they all follow the same fractal geometry. The angles, the transfer of torque, the way the joints stack to bear weight. The blueprint is identical whether the movement spans 1 inch or 10 feet.
That is wild.
The only parameters that change are force, distance, and speed.
So Kinegenesis combines this hard science of fractal biomechanics with, surprisingly, decoded ancient knowledge. It specifically points to traditions like Taoism, yoga, and Kabbalah.
Yeah, the founder of ISAI spent decades analyzing these texts and realized they are not merely abstract spiritual philosophies.
Right.
The core principles of Taoist movement, the physical postures of yoga, the structural diagrams in Kabbalah, they were ancient attempts to describe and preserve the fractal biomechanics of natural movement.
So thousands of years ago, careful observers mapped out the exact same evolutionary ecosystem of the body.
They did. Kinegenesis simply merges that time-tested empirical wisdom with modern scientific biomechanical research.
That grounds those ancient practices in pure physics, which is fascinating. But let's bring all of this deep theory, the evolutionary ancestors, the fractals, kinegenesis, down to our daily reality.
Let's do it.
How do we practically apply this to fix the tension in our necks or to move better when we are playing a sport?
Well, the practical application of all these concepts culminates in what ISAI calls formless flow.
Formless flow?
Yes. It is defined as the science and art of moving with minimal or even zero muscular effort.
Okay, I have to stop you there.
I figured you might.
Moving with zero muscular effort. That sounds physically impossible. Like, whether it's ISAI Martial Arts being used for civilian self-defense or me just lifting a 50-pound box off the floor, my biceps and hamstrings must contract to move weight against gravity.
Right.
So how can formless flow exist in a reality governed by physics?
It sounds impossible because our cultural conditioning equates movement directly with muscular tension.
Yeah, no pain, no gain.
Exactly. We are taught that force generation requires flexing and straining. But think about the architecture of the body. Muscles are meant to be the cables and pulleys. Bones are meant to be the load-bearing struts.
Okay, I'm following.
Formless flow isn't magic. It is ultimate biomechanical efficiency.
So if I'm lifting that heavy box, what is actually happening in formless flow?
Well, instead of bending over and using the muscles of your lower back to hoist the weight which fights gravity in your own anatomy, you align your skeleton using those innate fractal structures.
So I'm stacking the joints.
You drop your center of gravity, aligning your ankles, knees, and hips. When you stand, you aren't pulling the box up with your arm and back muscles. You are driving your skeletal structure into the ground.
Using your bones as struts.
Exactly. The ground pushes back, that's ground reaction force, and that energy travels up your skeletal chain. Your muscles are barely contracting to lift. They're simply maintaining the alignment of the bones so the skeleton can do the actual work.
The muscles just guide the flow of kinetic energy rather than generating all of it from scratch.
You got it. When you align exactly with the body's innate structure, and those deep evolutionary reflexes, you stop fighting your own anatomy.
Which is what causes the pain in the first place.
Exactly. Human-made techniques, like the rigid ways we are often taught to lift, run, or punch, force us into unnatural postures.
Right, the bloatware again.
Right. Those postures require massive muscular contraction just to stabilize the joints before any actual movement even happens. Formless flow uncovers the path of least resistance.
Which explains why this is so remarkably effective for civilian self-defense, right?
Well, absolutely.
Because if you were in an extreme high-stress situation, trying to recall a highly complex human-made martial arts technique is going to be slow.
Your brain just can't process it fast enough.
But if your self-defense relies on natural instincts and evolutionary reflexes, it happens automatically. You deflect an attack using the same fluid, fractal body mechanics you use to walk or reach for a cup.
And because you aren't fighting your own body, your speed and power increase exponentially while your energy expenditure actually drops.
You aren't grinding your gears.
Not at all. And this applied kinegenesis extends far beyond fighting. It applies to natural strength development, overall wellness, and injury prevention in any sport.
It's universal.
The ultimate goal is the harmonious integration of our innate evolutionary movements with the acquired movements we need for modern life. It bridges the gap between the modern world we live in and the ancient bodies we inhabit.
So, to you listening, try to observe your own movements today. Just notice when you are using unnecessary brute force in incredibly mundane tasks.
Yeah, pay attention to the tension.
Are you white-knuckling the steering wheel? Are you clenching your jaw and tensing your shoulders just to type an email?
Probably.
Whether you are a high-level athlete trying to shave seconds off your time or just someone looking to get out of bed without your knees aching, trusting your evolutionary hardware is the answer. Stop overriding the system.
We really have to recognize that hundreds of millions of years of evolutionary trial and error have produced a more efficient way to move than anything we could consciously invent.
We can't outsmart evolution.
We can't. The mechanics of the fish, the reptile, and the mammal are already inside us, offering a clear path to physical, mental, and spiritual health. We just have to be willing to clear the bloatware and actually listen to them.
To recap the territory we've covered today, ISAI teaches us to treat human movement as a deeply interconnected ecosystem rather than isolated parts. We carry the movement blueprints of our evolutionary ancestors in our spines and limbs. Our bodies operate on a fractal structure, mathematically repeating the same highly efficient geometric patterns at every scale.
A truth observed by ancient traditions long before modern biomechanics.
Exactly. And by stripping away our clunky cultural habits, we can achieve formless flow, utilizing skeletal alignment and kinetic chains to move powerfully without the agonizing muscular strain we have accepted as normal.
It is a profound shift in how we view our physical selves. You are not a broken, deteriorating machine. You are a highly advanced evolutionary ecosystem that has simply been running the wrong software.
It's an incredibly empowering perspective. But there is one final lingering thought to leave you with, one that directly builds on the evolutionary chain we discussed.
Well, this is the part that really makes you think.
Yeah. We talked about the amoeba, the fish, the reptile, the mammal, and the human. But the ISAI framework explicitly lists one final ancestor embedded in our movement.
The future human.
The future human. It implies that our evolutionary journey of movement is still active.
Right. We're currently laying down the blueprint for what comes next.
Exactly. So if our current attempt at pure natural movement is constantly clouded by our modern habits, if our daily reality is slouching over screens, sitting in rigid chairs, and losing touch with our physical instincts, what will the physical reality of that future human actually look like?
It's a slightly terrifying question.
It is. Are we programming a future ancestor that is perpetually tense, structurally compromised, and disconnected from its environment?
Let's hope not.
Will our descendants figure out how to evolve harmoniously, integrating modern technology without sacrificing their biology? Or will they have to rediscover the principles of natural movement all over again?
The way we choose to move today is quite literally shaping the anatomy of tomorrow.
A huge thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the mechanics of ISAI and the hidden history of human movement. Take a breath, drop those shoulders, and stay curious. Move naturally, and we will see you next time.